Okay, so now I'm going to show you guys how I managed to fit all of these color inside one single shape layer. Let's go ahead and create a new composition, right? So the first thing we're going to do is create a brand new shape layer, right, like so, and then I'm gonna switch over to the ellipse tool and double click on that so that it creates a perfect ellipse. Then I'm just gonna disable the stroke over here. Make sure you go to the fill, turn on the gradient, the radial fill, and then just drag this out to the edge of the circle. Now that you got this color set up over here, you can go ahead to the color of the fill. Make sure you put this midpoint here in the middle first. That's how we're going to start it off, and make sure you change this to something like black, and then click over here to the opacity stuff and drag that down all the way to 0. Now it's entirely transparent in the middle part right here. At this end of the color, you can change that to whichever color you want to put in the circle. I'll start off with a simple blue at first, and then I'm gonna drag this midpoint all the way in so that we got a nice little edge color right here. Also, you can do that with the opacity stuff so that you get sort of like choking the color in a little bit to make it a bit less feathery. Once you're satisfied with the color, you can hit OK, and then here's the fun part. You can hover around the cursor around here until the cursor turns into this black point with a black dot next to it. Take that and then drag the center of the gradient around till you just get this nice edge over here. That's what you want. Drag the other point away to maybe hide a little bit of that color. Now we already got like something sort of a blue planet-like shape, thanks to the massive shadow part over here, and then this sort of edge light going on, as if we got some sort of light source coming from this side. So now, still inside of this shape layer, you're gonna notice that there are many components that make up the shape layer itself, and any of these components, any of these properties of the shape layer can be duplicated. So if you go here to the path, for example, and Control D, it's gonna create a new path. Or you can Control D to the gradient stroke, it's gonna create a new stroke, or fill. That's where our tutorial is gonna focus on. Not only is the fill can be duplicated, but also the ellipse outside, inside of one single shape layer can also be duplicated as well. And it really depends on your preference of whether you want to duplicate a gradient or another shape. I'm gonna get into the idea behind what we're gonna do first, and then I'm gonna break down all the pros and cons of whether you want to duplicate the gradient or the ellipse. And now as an example, I'm gonna click on that gradient fill, duplicate that. As you can see, the color just pop off over here a little bit, getting a little bit brighter. That's because there's another layer underneath it. Make sure you don't click on the fill over here, because the fill color over here is the fill color of the entire shape that covers both the gradient fill 1 and the gradient fill 2, and if you change something over here, it's gonna change the entirety of the color, so you don't really want that. What you can do is go over to the gradient fill 1, which is the gradient fill that's on top, drop it down and click on the edit gradient and edit that gradient. So now I'm gonna choose something a little bit different, maybe a sort of purple. I picked up the wrong color stop. Okay. Make sure you pick this one and pick a sort of purple tint, and then hit OK. And now, in order to get this purple tint in a different spot, it's important that you head over here to the start point and end point, drag them to a different position, and then you can go ahead and then grab onto these points and drag them around. Usually you want to put this in a different spot somewhere, maybe around here. That's already looking very nice. Yeah, I like that sort of sinister, not sinister, sort of romantic look. Drag it in a little bit, and yeah, already you can see that we already have two different colors inside one single shape layer. And the important thing is that this gradient fill over here, the blending mode can also be changed. So if you go ahead to overlay, for example, you get a variety of how the color is gonna blend with each other. So maybe a linear dodge. Yeah, get a sort of color highlights over here, which I think is it's really good. Yeah, that's the thing that's a disadvantage when you try to copy the gradient fill inside of a shape, and it's because the start point and end point is gonna be where the start point and end point of the first duplicate is gonna be. So it's gonna take a lot more work if you try to get more color in it. So let's try it again. Now this time by duplicating the ellipse, just go ahead and delete gradient fill 1 and head over here outside to the ellipse and copy that, and now we get a new ellipse straight on. And also because it has the same gradient fill, this part is pretty much transparent. The only part that is showing out is where the color is. Now the advantage of duplicating another ellipse is that these fill tool over here are going to be separate. If instead of having this gradient applied to both of the ellipse, whichever ellipse you click on, it's going to be separate to that ellipse respectively. So over here you can actually click on this fill color tool, change the color of that to something like we had before, hit OK, and then it won't change the color of the ellipse underneath, because as I said before, this applies separately to each of the shape. And also with a different ellipse shape, you actually have a transform toolbar over here that you can use to rotate the shape a little bit. So instead of having to mess around with the start and end point, which you could do that, and to be a little bit more specific with the color, you can actually just rotate the shape a little bit to get the color in a different spot. And the third thing about this different shape layer is that it's also got its own blending mode inside. A variety of blending mode that you also had before, only this time is applied on a different ellipse, and you can it sort of makes a workflow a little bit faster if you're dealing with a lot of colors. I'm gonna go ahead and try this out with a variety of ellipse and color. I'm gonna come back to you. Actually, I'll just let you guys follow along. So over here you can duplicate that once more, rotate it a little bit over here. You can change that color to maybe sort of a magenta pinkish look. Drag it in to make it cover some more grounds, and maybe change the blending mode a little bit, something not too drastic. I think linear dash right now is looking pretty good. And also you can change the opacity of the color over here inside of the transform module, which I think is really nice. And up here we're gonna put something like maybe a green, for example. Do that same thing again. Probably a green up here, or ooh, that's looking nice how they're just blending everything of the color in. I'm not even selecting green over here, and as you can see already, there's some green tint popping out. That's very nice. Yeah, I'm gonna go with that, and maybe just play around with the blending mode a little bit. Ooh, vivid light is looking so good right now, but the sort of creating of these solid edges over here, which I think I kind of want to avoid that. It is a nice color, but at the end I want it all to be blending a little bit softer. Like maybe I just drop the opacity. Yeah, that's probably not gonna. Oh yeah. Okay, we're getting somewhere. Okay, it's not looking as blocky as before. Very good. Okay, now that's looking pretty good. And that's it. That's how I put all of these color inside one single shape layer. I'm gonna call it orb. And now what I'm gonna do is go ahead and animate this to make it sort of like a bubbly object or something like that. So as you can see over here, the video is still being edited, and the part where I animated the bubble to create this fun looking animation is gonna be part 2, and it's gonna come later, maybe next week, the same time as this video. So if you've enjoyed this video, thank you so much for watching. And stay tuned, stay subscribed for the next part, which I show you the entire process and all of the effects of how I created this animation. I'm probably gonna be in the same shirt. So yeah, see ya. Bye bye.